Welcome into another high school preview show. This time, Coach, I'm at Trinity Collegiate. What's going on, Coach?
What's up, fellas? Glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you hop on here. We know we had to reschedule with you earlier. Had you on last weekend during an event. Had to reschedule, but glad to nonetheless get you on here. And Coach, we'll kind of hop right into it here. Let's start talking about last year for you guys, how that journey was.
Sure, absolutely. So first and foremost, just want to thank you guys for everything you do for the state, man. I remember being a player at one point in time and kind of seeing your name on lists and seeing the way you guys cover games and stuff is a big deal and kind of makes high school athletes feel like pros a little bit. So keep doing what you're doing great stuff. The stuff y'all do for us as coaches to help our guys get recruited and stuff with regards to the analytics, the video, all that stuff's huge. So we appreciate that. But just kind of talking about last year, I was a first year head coach last year. Spent 6 years as an assistant under Kenny Gray at South Lawrence High and had a lot of success there. But, throughout that process, I wanted to be a head coach and kind of the stars aligned. And Coach Derek Urquhart, who I played for, was our director of baseball over at Trinity and was fortunate to kind of get the gig here. But last year's team for us was the team that I needed as a first year head coach. They kind of helped lay the foundation for the culture we wanted to build and the philosophy that we're trying to implement. So that was huge. And there were really two components to last year's team that made us good. We had a senior led group with 9 great seniors that were humble, they were hungry, did a lot of things really well. And then we had some key underclassmen in there that we were able to get some valuable experience throughout the year. So all in all, the group was great. And we had a really good year, 20 wins, went 20-12, got into the playoffs, made it to the lower state semifinals before getting kicked out by um, our region rival, Wilson Hall. But, I think any coach in the state would be happy, double digit wins with a 2 in front of us. That was a big deal. And within that, there were a lot of signature wins. So we beat Hammond for the first time in school history. Got wins over some powerhouses such as Cardinal Newman, Pinewood Prep, Ben Lippin, Lawrence Manning. Swept PD Academy there at the end. I think they eventually were the 3A lower state run or 3A runner up. But that was just a big deal, I think, for our guys. Just them being able to say, "Hey, we belong on the field with these guys, and if we keep doing what we're doing, keep trusting the process." Things are going to go good for us long term. And what was crazy from a team identity standpoint is we didn't, offensively, we weren't very good, just being real. I mean, we hit 256 as a team, but we executed in situations. We played small ball, we put pressure on defenses, but where we really excelled was defensively, and our pitching staff was phenomenal. So defensively, fielded 978. Our pitching staff, and I'm a little bit biased, but I think we got the best pitching coach in the state of South Carolina. No offense to anybody. Coach Brian Brown's phenomenal. Um, and he took a staff of, we had the best staff of no-name guys or guys you'd never heard of. And Jay Riddle, Drew Andrews, um, and Doozy Meadows, and they just did a phenomenal job playing our brand, pitching ahead, pitching to contact, not beating ourselves. 65% of our innings were walk-free, got the leadoff out in 70% of our innings. So that's kind of our brand and what we like to do. And, the statistics and the stats and how we did kind of spoke for itself with regards to that. So real good first year for us.
Now, speaking of like rolling into this year, right? Obviously, talking, laying the groundwork last year, the great, first year for you guys. Talk about some of those returners coming into this year. Kind of offline. We talked about a couple of those guys you're high on, but talk about some of those guys you're looking to lead your program into this 25 season.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm real, we've got a bunch of them. So I'm going to talk for a second here, but I'll start with some of our seniors. Again, got valuable experience for a lot of guys last year, but our senior class there was a few guys that got significant time last year that we're going to depend on this year. The first one's going to be JoJo Shamanico. He was an infielder when we got here. We transitioned to outfield, and we joke with him all the time. He may have been one of the worst outfielders we ever had when he first started. But that dude just worked and became our best outfielder by the end of the year. And we have a saying in our program, bring the juice, and JoJo brings the juice every day. So we're excited to have him. We're going to expect a lot out of him offensively and defensively and continue to be that emotional leader. Hayes Bridgers, he is a right-handed pitcher for us. He's really our high leverage guy. Hayes had 16 appearances last year, but only threw 15 and 2/3 inning. And it wasn't because he was getting beat around. It was just because he was the guy when we were bleeding a little bit. He was going to come from down low as a submarine guy and try to get that ground ball, get that double play, and get us in the bull or get us in the dugout. And he did that. Showed a lot of poise, a lot of composure, handled the tough situations like a pro. Um, he transitioned from a PO to a two-way guy over the summer for us. Also hit 400 during our summer league and showed that he could play first base. So we're going to expect him to kind of do both this year. Dawson Lloyd's a right-handed pitcher for us, came from Hartsville, transferred in. So he's not new. He's new to us, but he's not new to varsity baseball. He's a guy we're expecting to be our number 2 guy on the bump. He'll either be a Tuesday or Friday night guy for us in region play, but swings the stick well also. So he's competing for innings at second base. Junior wise, Davidson Lynch is a guy that sat behind our catcher last year, but because our starting catcher was also our number 2 pitcher, he got significant innings. So caught 40% of our innings last year, 36% caught stealing rate, hit 300 in those games. So he matured a lot over the last year, sat behind a really good catcher last year, and I think he'll end up being one of the better catchers in the state as far as Skeeza goes this year. Tremendous leader, just does a lot really well. Drew Cockrell's another guy in that junior class who eat up some innings, currently competing for our number 3 spot. Fierce competitor. He's a winner. Had a great summer for us and just really proved he can get the job done. So, and a guy we can count on. So we're excited about him. Gavin Holt is a big one. So again, another guy who's not a returner to us, but a returner to Skeeza. Transferred from Florence Christian. He'll be our number 1 guy on the mound. And I think at y'all's event, y'all had him up to 86, 87. And he's continued to progress. He's able to carry that now. So I'll say this about him. I think he's the most highly undervalued arm in that 26 class right now, as far as uncommitted guys. And I know with the recruiting rules, and that's a bold statement, but I believe in what that guy's doing. He's a fierce competitor. He throws 3 pitches, really, has commanded 3 pitches, working on a changeup that when he throws it well, it's a nasty pitch. So I think he's going to be on a lot of radars after the spring he's going to have. And, you know, we have our sophomore classes. I call them the super sophomores, and we talked a little bit about this offline. But there's there's 3 more guys got on this. James Wyatt Arthur, he got significant time last year as a freshman as our starting third baseman, and he was our closer and played 32 games. I would say statistically, he didn't have the year that he wanted, but he had the year that I needed him to have, and we needed him to have to make the growth he needed to make as a player and as a young man. And I think he's got some of the highest upside of anybody in our program. I think he'll be on a lot of radars as this season progresses, going into his junior year. And I tell the story about him all the time. Before I took this job, I wanted to come look at our JV team. And at the time, he was an 8th grader playing JV. And I just want to know what we had for the future. And I saw him play for about 5 minutes. Saw him bouncing around the field, diving, communicating, doing all the things that great players do. And I said, this is a guy we can build a program around. And that's what we're going to do. And with that comes high expectations. And he's answered that every time. But he's highly projectable, great leader, relentless work ethic, and a guy we're excited about. Owen Bex, he's another guy that comes to a lot of y'all's events. He was at the most recent one, I believe, in Rock Hill. But, he plays 4 positions at a high level, power corner profile, right-handed pitcher, really good. Last year was not the freshman year I think he wanted or I wanted. I'll tell you this, going into it, he was a guy we said, we got to give this guy the runway to fail as a freshman to keep the confidence up. And I probably dropped the ball on that just with the pressure of trying to, put the 9 guys out there that gave us the best chance. And, he ended up losing a battle out to a senior who ended up hitting 400 for us. So, it was tough. But through all that, he could have been, could have taken the wrong attitude about it. His parent could have taken the wrong attitude about it, but they didn't. He built a lot of resilience through that. And, I think it's going to set the tone for his future. And I think he's poised for a breakout year after what he's done to transform his body. I mean, he's 207 pounds. He was 165 when he got here. So he understands how physical you got to be to play at the next level and be really good at this level. So he's going to do that. And we're excited to have him. he jumps off the chart when you watch him play. But last guy is going to be Garrison Copeland. He was a freshman for us last year, started 31 of 32 games. That's a tough, big ask out of an eighth grader. And he handled it well, hit 313, 423 on base percentage, stole 17 bags. He's an elite three-sport athlete with just huge upside. And, Garrison's thing last year is he'd make the tough plays look easy and the easy plays look tough sometimes. So he spent a lot of time in the offseason working on finishing plays and being better in that regard. But he's a guy, just those last three guys specifically, just the upside for them is going to be tremendous. And they helped us win a lot of games last year, and they'll continue to help us win a lot of games in the future.
Got it. I was on mute. Coach said he was going to cook. He cooked.
Yeah, sorry. I got to talk about our guys, man. They do it the right way.
Coach, I know you talked about some guys that are transferred over as technical newcomers, not to varsity baseball, but to your program. What about some other newcomers you got? And these could be underclassmen that kind of have to step up this year into a bigger role.
Yeah, for sure. So, a guy we're real high on is another sophomore. He's a guy that's in that sophomore class, Brody Phillips. Real excited about Brody. He was when we got here last year, and he was part of that group that we said, we need this guy to be good sooner rather than later. Just thinking about the next 3-4 years, and we kind of tossed around the idea of maybe him being a varsity guy last year, getting acclimated to being around those guys, but ultimately decided on he needed that year on JV to develop and I think that's maybe stung him a little bit, but he did what he needed to do. He was our JV MVP, hit like 450 down there, did a lot of really good things. And he just showed up with his lunch pail every day and went to work. He didn't, pout about it. He just did what we asked him to do. And, that was big. This summer was big for him as well. He made some jumps there. And at the end of the summer, said, look, Brody, you're right where you need to be, but the weight room, got to get in that, and we got to get the arm strength up. And again, as he always does, he did what he said he was going to do. And right now, if I had to make a lineup out tomorrow, he'd be our starting second baseman, and he handles the bat well enough to hit near the top of the order, or he's a guy that you can kind of roll the order with over at the bottom. So tremendous baseball IQ, and a guy we're real excited about. Just a couple other names. Ross Meadows is another sophomore right-handed pitcher, and he's really a utility guy for us right now. Can play third, can play second. Played him at short a little bit. We can throw him in the outfield. But the thing we really like about Ross is what he brings to the table on the mound. He's a fierce competitor. He's got good stuff. And I think once he matures into, like, he's one of those guys that you coach guys don't really understand what they're doing yet, and they don't really understand how good they could be. That's where Ross is at right now. So as he continues to mature and becomes more of a complete pitcher, I think he's going to be a guy who really does some great things. But he'll eat significant innings out of the pen for us this year. And based on how his bat was this summer, he'll probably find himself in the lineup, competing there as well. Max Rayleigh's another sophomore. He's we're still working with Max. I mean, the thing I love about Max is, he's committed to the physical part of this game. So, he's another one who put on about 25, 30 pounds over the course of last year, just from pounding the weight room. He went from kind of a twig to being a pretty thick guy. So, I think he's 6'1" or 6'2", and he's got that good body. So as Max polishes some different aspects of his game up, he's going to be really good for us. But he's going to have a chance to get significant innings this year and compete for a spot. So, it's really up to him. But he's a guy we're excited about. And then two more guys, and these are one of these guys, Miller Buchanan. He's a 2028, but right now he's competing for that backup catcher spot for us. But he's going to be a good arm for us down the line. But we thought he was going to be a JV guy this year, but he's really made some big jumps over last year and might be a guy that we have to depend on, if something ever happens to our catcher. And then Caden Mills, another one. He's an eighth grader, but real physical guy, was one of the quarterbacks on our football team, and, real physical guy behind the plate, and a guy we may have to lean on as the season progresses. So.
Now, obviously, with a good mix of the newcomers and returners rolling in, right? And we always joke with this question, this next one we get with a lot of high school coaches, because we get a lot of the coach speak on this one. And, obviously we get it, we understand it. But and this is always different, especially in the changing world of high school baseball, right? You hit it on the head. You know, you're adding some players to your program that have left other programs and moving on in it, you know, and now year two. But let's talk about some expectations you have for your club, you know, moving into this year. You know, where you were, you know, probably last year this time versus this year is a whole new different ball game for yourself. But talk about those expectations you guys have.
Sure. Absolutely. So, you know, it's weird because we talk to a lot of people and they kind of look at, you know, man, you guys graduated 27 of your 32 starts on the mound, and you know, you lost a couple, you know, key bats, and you know, so there's a lot of talk about a rebuild. You know, you're going to rebuild, and you know, anyways, um, we feel really good about this group, really good. Coach speak aside, all that stuff. We believe in four things. You know, if you have dominant pitching, which I think we will have, um, if you have great defense, which we still have, you have timely hits, which we have, and if you're consistent 1 through 9, you can contend. And we think we have that. The one thing missed from us last year, we just weren't consistent enough 1 through 9. And we feel really good about where we're at now. And you know, there'll be people that listen to this and say, you know, who are these guys again? Trinity, who? You know, whatever. I get it. I mean, because historically, you look at Trinity, and it's not a program that just screams, you know, at the beginning of the year, we should be looking out for these guys. You know, I think we have one co-region championship in 2 decades, no lower state titles, no state titles. You know, we've always kind of been in that next tier of teams and SCISA. But we do feel like that's changing. We've got the right guys in our program. We've got the right coaches. And we kind of, what we ultimately were striving for when we got here is we wanted, you know, 5001 Hoffmeyer Road to be synonymous with championship caliber baseball before it was all over. So, people say, how can you say that? It's just because we believe in our guys, man. And I know we have a lot of people, you don't know what you don't know, but we know what we have. So, this team embodies grit. They're selfless. They got a relentless work ethic. They just do everything the right way. And you know, sky's the limit for them. I think we'll sneak up and shock some people, obviously. And you know, I think Coach Barron said a while ago, if the state championship or being in that final series is not in the cards when you start talking about your season, then you probably need to pack up and go somewhere else. And that's how I believe. We've been trying to tell our guys we're not just going to try to be the best program in our area. We're going to be the best program in the state before it's over with, and we feel good about that. So a lot of belief in our guys.
Our computer's slow today. Coach, I know we're excited to see you guys this high school season, and we really appreciate you hopping on and cooking for us and your guys today.
Got to do it, man. I appreciate you having me. Little old Trinity down here in the little old PD, man. Don't forget about us. Hey, I had to bring the Ray to you guys, man. Can you see the Ray in the background here?
Oh yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, so, I mean, I had to bring it to you, man. I wanted you guys to come check out our concession stand food, come check out the facilities. I mean, I know how y'all are, so we'd love to have you. You stop by the concession stand when you get there, we'll hook you up. So
we'll make sure to do that. Austin might be fighting us to get down there before anybody else to get to the concession stand food, but
yeah, maybe if we can get Drew to eat that stand up Winnie first, we'll get on down there. But definitely, you know, hey, Coach, you know how it is. We talk about it when we come on down there to Florence at the end of the fall. We always feel like that PD region gets a little overlooked, like yourself. So obviously, a lot of good ball players come out of that area. So we'll definitely need to come on down there and check it out. But we definitely wish you the best of luck this spring, and you got a bunch of good players down there. So go get them, and hopefully we'll be watching you guys make a deep run this year.
looking forward to it, guys. Thank y'all for everything you do.